Hello everyone.
Hello everyone.
Welcome back to our channel. It has been a very hot minute.
Very long one.
Very long, hot minute.
That's the saying on YouTube
And
these days.
we are back in person with each other. I am in Lebanon at the moment. We leave in next week. But right now we're trying to get in all the stuff that we can. And this is one of the things that we've been wanting to do really since our channel started. And we've made a lot of fun videos. We've made a lot of we've made a couple of Q&As,
Yep.
but we really wanted to make something a little more serious where we could have a little more time to delve into a topic.
That is why our setting is a lot different this time.
Yeah, we're very professional this time.
Yeah, we do.
So,
we have a back man helping in the back.
Yeah, we have our IT guy, Gerard. He's helping us out. So we have a little more effort put into this one just because we want to make it a little more of a podcast feel, but we still want it to be a little conversation time. We don't want it to be too serious.
Yeah.
This isn't a talk show. This is just two people having a conversation.
Now we'll see if you guys like it. We'll make more videos from this type, and if you don't, we'll just try and figure out another rhythm, another wave to.
Yeah.
Just to surf.
Well, so for this topic, we wanted to kind of focus on something more biblical, something that applies to our everyday lives, something that maybe not a lot of people know about, and gives us an opportunity to talk about and give some biblical context on. And that topic is astrology. It's kind of something that, astrology, dun dun dun. It's something that I had been doing a little bit of reading on, and it was just like something I was a little interested in. Whenever I get interested in a topic, I'll just Google it, look up articles, maybe watch videos on it.
Right.
And this time, Nardine had gotten the idea, like, hey, you're going to be here in a few weeks. Why not just record us talking about this together?
And I'm going to be here as more of a spectator and more of a person, like, commenting on what I'm listening to. So I'm going to try to be your guys' voice here, because I don't know much about the topic either, so I'm going to be learning more about it this time too.
The co-host.
Yeah,
co-hosting.
Yeah, right.
So we're going to focus on astrology because I kind of wanted to think of something that was I didn't know anything about really, but you hear about it all the time, but as a believer I really never cared for. You hear about people talk about it all the time. They even have it in their descriptions on their social media pages, like, oh, I'm a Virgo, or whatever their sign is. And it's something that people are really obsessed with nowadays, and I didn't really understand why. And then the more I looked into it, the more things kind of clicked together in my head of the real, like, how far this went back, actually. And how obsessed people are with it today is just a little weird, because you have these different layers to it. So we're going to kind of discuss the different layers. Kind of discuss like what people think about it, because there are Christians who also believe, or Christians quote unquote, who really believe in astrology, and they think astrology is a sign from God, something that we can see signs from God from, but we know as believers that the only place we get that from is His Word. So we're going to get into that. So if you want to start off, what are some questions that you have about what people think about it today?
Right.
Like, what are some things you think of?
So, looking at society today, like, ever since I've been in middle school, high school, university, just people around, maybe not so much the people that I'm related to, because I know that I haven't ever been, like, personally concerned or have, like, personal conversations. That's why I don't even know much about the topic, I think. But I've definitely heard friends talk about that, and like, oh, I have this sign that means that I have this character trait or so and so, and I've been born in that month, that means I do this or that, or just things like that, where it's kind of, there's something that's who I am.
Yeah.
And I always
it's almost
wondered,
an excuse. Like, people kind of make excuses like, oh, I'm more aggressive, so aggro.
Right. I've heard that a lot too. Like,
so,
personalities, like, oh, because I was born in this month, I'm more prone to being like that. That was kind of, I was like, really?
Right.
Like,
yeah. So there's a lot to it, and there's a lot of different beliefs around it.
So my question is, where did it all start? Like, how did it come to be? I think that's like the question that's burning me inside. Like, where did it come from?
Yeah. So really, there's no clear origin of where astrology started. But for the longest time, as we can remember, especially with like the early Egyptians, they used the stars and they realized that constellations are in a certain formation and that they could navigate their way with that. And then a lot of people used it and applied astrology. And that's something about astrology is a lot of pagan cultures for centuries and even today use astrology as a way of seeing signs from their gods and their what they believe. So it's a very broad thing. It's not super narrow with like, oh, if you're believe in astrology, you believe in this certain god. A lot of people believe in astrology and they apply it to everyday life and everyday things and different gods, and it's been that way for centuries, ever since it began. So a lot of people speculate that it started in Asia and spread through India and that area around there, and it was really a way where people could kind of, because back in the day people used to, I say back in the day, but really biblically, if we look at things biblically, you see the context of how people looked at things, and people would turn anything into idols and look for signs from idols, pray to gods that really meant nothing, and they turned astronomy into that, and they would use signs and they used these different things in the stars to kind of determine, and they thought of these ideas that it would determine their destiny. So whatever constellation you were born under, so there's 12 signs that I believe, and whatever one you were born under, that would be your personality type, and that would lead to your destiny of like who you're going to be. And that was like the biggest part of it.
So that was basically their lifestyle. They lived basing it off of.
So their everyday life, the way they would handle situations, the way they would just carry themselves in general was based on this.
And I honestly do think there's not much of a difference between how it was before and how it is today. I mean, a lot of people do base their life. I've seen it. I mean, newspapers, radio stations, waking up every morning, waiting to know how your day's going to be. Yeah, exactly. Like, what?
Yeah.
Where did it start? Like, it started with these people who just tried to understand life and make sense out of it based on looking at the stars.
Because a lot of people look at their horoscopes on a daily basis, like she mentioned, the newspapers aren't as common nowadays, but when they were, people would have their horoscopes posted every day, and there are people who would avidly look into that. And a lot of people, it's just fun too. And same for like the personality traits, like, oh, which sign am I? Like, what personality type am I? What does this match up with? But in a way, it's almost like I said it's an excuse of like who you are, and that's completely unbiblical. Like, we're not supposed to justify who we are and live that way because that's how we were born. We were born as sinners, and that's what God tells us. That's the only thing that God makes clear about our destiny and where we're going is we are born as sinners, and for that, we deserve hell, and that's our destiny.
Right.
But we are not supposed to excuse that and say, like, oh, I'm more passive, and I don't need to really be motivated for things because of my personality type, and that just doesn't work.
Yeah.
That's not biblical.
And that's the thing, sorry to cut you off, but like I also remember people basing their life decisions on it. Like, oh, I can't work this certain profession, or I can't deal with this certain type of situation because I'm so and so. And that always really shocked me because I was like, how could you determine your decisions on something, on a label that was put on you that has no reliable basis? And I guess that's why I was really interested in how it started, because honestly, looking at it, there's nothing legit to it. You know, there's nothing reliable to how people, like, where did this label come from? Who told you that? Oh, you being born in January or December or in July or whatever other month made you that person, or put a label on you, like, this is who you are, this is how you're... It kind of even maybe forces you into tricking yourself into thinking that you're that person or that personality while you're not.
Yeah. And
I don't think a lot of people understand the dangers of it, or maybe some people take it very lightly, you know, like, oh, it's just, it's fun, you know, like you were saying, it's just fun. I don't think a lot of people take it to that extreme, but I think it still has a big influence. Like, you being born in a certain month, you just scroll maybe on the web and you see something, oh, this is these are the great things that are gonna happen to you in 2022 if you're from that sign. I guess a lot of people could be inclined into looking like, you know what, I'm gonna go and check that out.
Yeah, exactly. And it's kind of crept its way into a lot of personality tests and a lot of things that we would kind of look at passively.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm an Alt J or whatever it is. I don't even know if I said that correctly.
A what?
And you have those different, like the inter things, like the little signs, you know, with the hyphen in between the letters and the hyphen. That kind of say your personality type. Like, yeah, you know, let me look it up. There it is. There's like these different signs. Like, yeah, you have the INFJ.
Right, yeah. The INFJ. Okay, there you go.
INFJ, yeah. Okay, so it kind of crept its way into that, and we see that with the acronyms that people label themselves with from these personality tests, and it goes along the same lines of we kind of put ourselves into this bubble of what we are and how we were born, and that's what we are.
And I'm going to personally admit, I have gone into personality tests and just like...
We've taken them together.
Yeah, but not thinking of it in that same
context.
We
never like thought of it, and looking back now, it's kind of odd, and I kind of wish I thought of it that way at the time, but it is weird how people can put themselves in these boxes of this is what I am, and this is what I clearly am, and this is what I am supposed to, and this is just how I live my life. This is how I treat other people. This is how
I do believe that certain people have different personality inclinations.
Yes, I'm not saying that all believers are the same type of person.
Or like taking a personality test is a sin. That's not it.
No, especially in the apostolic books, it's very, very clear that the epistles, it's very clear that God gave us different gifts and talents, and we all have our different function in the body of Christ. So I'm not saying at all that we're all supposed to be the same and that we all have the same function at all. But on the flip side of that, we need to be careful because we are all supposed to be aspiring to be like Christ. And Christ was very outgoing. He was very personable with people. And people who kind of put themselves in these boxes with these personality tests, it's kind of everything against that, especially with certain personality types.
Yeah. So I think the mistake that we might fall into, or the danger, the zone danger, let me call it, is just when not taking those things or knowing that, like, I'm this or that personality, it's setting the boundaries, like, I'm confined to what the results told me I am, so I cannot change. Like, this is who I am. I justify my mistakes, my behavior, my attitude, just the way I speak in general and live my life because I have been confined to those boundaries.
Yeah.
So we got a little off topic here, but...
No, it's good.
Kind of.
And, I mean, I always think of this passage when I read this, and it's from 1 Thessalonians 5. And you look through the chapter, and it's talking about focusing on things that are good of God and what God's word is and everything. And then you go down, which verse is it? I just had it in my eyes. And then you go down to verse 22, and it says, abstain from all appearances of evil. So if it appears evil, if you have doubts about it, just abstain from it. And the origins of astrology, which we're going to get into more next, are really heavily just around idol worship, pagan gods, everything that God was trying to protect the Israelites from in the early days. Right. Then God has always been trying to protect his people from, and we are God's people when we become a child of his and we get saved. So God is trying to protect us from that too. So things like Ouija boards, candles in the mirror, whatever those weird things are that can kind of look kind of fun.
Fun, right. Some people don't even have the intentions of it.
Yeah,
like, just it's a game.
Yeah, like people pull out Ouija boards and they think, oh, it's just a game. And yeah, it can be like just a fun game or whatever, and that's how it can be viewed. But the appearance of evil and the origins of that and what that was created for is very different. So
you like, since we've gotten on that like side of it, you want to maybe go into what the Bible has said about that? Because I know any person who's read the Bible who knows that in the Old Testament they focus a lot on astronomers